It often makes me wonder whether every empirical experiment that scientists or people conduct, whether it always has a subjective bias, just because us as default, us as an observer is a subjective being. So, is there always a subjective influence in an empirical data being arrived from a empirical experiment? Or
the subject is not always given as a self. The self is a model that you create in your own mind. And for the most part, this model is stable, but it doesn't need to be stable, right? We can put ourselves into a state where there is no observer. This means that there's no distinction between me and a third person, or no person. There is just a model of the universe going on and tracking patterns that this model is entangled with by evolving the things that are being generated in the observing mind. And in this state, belief is not a verb. There is no relationship between a self that constitutes itself as the thing that believes. There is just the modeling system. And every modeling system with isomorphic properties is going to form the same models if it has the same entanglements with the system that it models. The self is not exploring anything. That's something that becomes apparent when we start deconstructing the self and playing a little bit with it. And we notice that the self is along for the ride because it's the way in which the agent makes sense of what it's doing, right? It's a control model. It allows you to remember what the entire system did at some point, but the self is not the agent. The self is no one. The self is a narrative. And so the self cannot explore. The self has a recording it's not even a recording. It's a reinvention every time that you try to remember it based on stored cues. And it's able to create the best story that the system can tell about what it did in the past and what it intends to do right now and what it might be doing in the future.
And it's always being created anew at each point.
Yes.